Hi, Dion, hi, this is Jim Delapine here. I want to give you some video help with this, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select the background layer first. Let me check the image size, and all looks great, perfect. So I see that you have layer masks for 3 of your elements, but you don't have a layer mask for, well, you do have a layer mask here, but it's not working yet, and you don't have a layer mask for this. So I'm going to fill the background with black. Alt Delete. And we're going to isolate. I'm going to first work on the Elmo head. So I'm going to Alt or Option click at the visibility icon just to isolate that and also show the background. All right, so I'm going to let me delete the layer mask. All right, so what I'm going to do is go to my quick selection tool, and I'm going to increase my brush size, and I'm going to click around this image of Elmo here. It's going to be tricky up here where the eyes are, but I have a basic selection here. Okay. Then with any selection tool active, I'm going to click on the Refine Edge feature. Okay, so that brings up this. Now, since I have black as a background, I'm going to select, let's see here, view mode. Here we go, on black. All right, so now what I'm going to do is select the Refine Radius tool, and I'm going to bring my radius up a little bit, and I'm going to click around here and just basically click and kind of paint along the edges here. And I'm trying not to paint inside into Elmo's head too much. Doesn't matter too much down here because that's going to be hidden, but up here my cursor is held down as I'm dragging along the edges here. All right, and then I'm going to let go. All right, so now I can see all those little fine hairs, all right, on Elmo's head. And then what I'm going to do is, I don't think it'll work too well up here because there's no contrast. Yeah, so I'm then going to output to a new layer with a layer mask, and then hit OK. All right, so that hides the original layer and shows the end result layer. So now I have all those fine particles in here. So now what you need to do is, with that layer mask active, go up here and with black, with your paintbrush selected, make sure it's 100% hardness. And then let me get a smaller brush size. Little tip here: my left and right bracket key will increase or decrease the size of my paintbrush. Okay, so with black, I want to hide a portion of this. I see I have guides in here, which is great. All right, I'm going to go and I'm going to hide the guides. And with white, I'm going to bring this back in. First, I'm going to go up here. I'm going to bring everything back in. This is kind of hard to see because you have so little contrast there. Then I'm going to go back and swap it and paint with black again to hide or mask out the background. So if I get a smaller size brush, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click and hold down my shift key and shift. With the shift key held down, I'm going to click in small increments to go around this edge here. This is really not the best way to do it, but if you're slow and take your time, you can carefully do this. All right, so the shift key is held down and I'm simply clicking, and that's going to create a straight line. All right, so you know, if you go too far, you can paint it back in with white. Another way, whoa, what happened here? Another way is to zoom in. Zooming in, you can really get more accuracy. This is a little trickier, all right, but if I go to my elliptical marquee tool, click and drag. This is not a perfect circle, but it'll at least give you a head start. So my cursor is held down. I'm going to hold down the space bar to reposition it. And then I'm looking at my left upper corner there. And then I'm going to drag out and then hold down the space bar again and just constantly reposition this until I get a shape that looks somewhat reasonable. Okay, so it's not going to be exact for the entire eye. All right, so now I'll let go. So now I have a guideline to use here. Okay, so so now I have this selection active. I'm going to inverse the selection. Shift F7 inverses the selection. So now everything else but this circle is selected. So now any editing I do outside the circle will be affected. So with the layer mask active, I'm going to go to my paintbrush and paint with black along here. All right, so I'm using this kind of as a guide. All right, this way I can get a perfect circle. Notice over here, you know, the eyes kind of go in here, so I'll click and shift click here. All right, so I hope this is, I hope I was clear with this. So now I'll deselect, and that looks pretty good. All right, so that's what you need to do to get all these little fine hairs in here. So the refined edge technique is what we went through in the first assignment of this week. Okay, and now let me alt click here to show everything. Let me just, no, it's not working. Let me just show everything again. All right, so I see your sketches here, and let me just do this. Let me go back to where we were before. Okay, so by the way, this is Terrible Toys Todd. You have to have the exact name, okay? But that's for next week. So now what you need to do is work with this element here. Okay, that's this one. Nope, that's the speak and spell. All right, so let me look at that. All right, so you need to cut out the edges of all this. All right, so that should be a simple process using the shift click method, but make sure of course that you create a layer mask and then start painting with black. Here it's easy, it's a straight line, so if I click and shift click right in the right spot, see if you missed a spot, you just go back, you can undo it or shift click again, and then you can just, you want it to be as good as possible. All right, I hope that helped, man. Aside from that, let me just make sure. I mean, everything, the perspective on this doesn't look right. So I'm going to suggest that you look for something else that will look like it's going to go into the tank. The perspective for this element right here is not right. All right, this is kind of odd too. But what you can do is this. This is what we're going to do. We're going to bring this on top of the speak and pull. All right, so it's resting on top. And we're going to make it look like it's sticking into this. And all you got to do then is select the layer mask. I would zoom in, go to my paintbrush, and then kind of paint in the area that you want to hide. So if I shift click here, it'll kind of make it look like it's sticking into that seam. Although we know it's not in reality possible because, well, actually this could work, but this will not work. So I would suggest getting something thin that looks like it could stick in between the opening, like the separation between the speak and spell. All right, so the speak and spell is maybe 3/4 of an inch thick. So get something that's thin that can come out of here and go into the top of the tank. All right, okay, take care.